Hi there, welcome to Sports Center from the nation's capital. I'm Scott Van Pelt. Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs roll to their 10th straight. Tim Legler will join us in a bit to break down the hottest team in the league. Tatum and Brown end up in the same category as Bird and McHale with the Celtics, and some developing news regarding the Rams' standout wide receiver Puka Nacua. We begin with the show once again put on Victor Wembanyama. He is in a category of his own at the moment, it seems. They'd won 9 straight entering Wednesday. That's the best in the league, taking on an undermanned Golden State squad. I don't care who you've got. There's no one stopping that. Stephon Castle up top, Wemby. It's 12-3 early. Castle, Wembanyama again. Where you at, big fella? There. It's 14-3. Dylan Harper. How about being able to get this guy in the first round? Just add him to the mix. Another alley-oop. It's 25-9. Harrison Barnes to Wembanyama, and this is where you just start laughing at what it looks like. My Lord. What are you going to do? Nothing. San Antonio leading early by 8. Draymond, you going to give me this? I'll take it. You can take those two with you. 27-13 in the first half. First Spurs player with 25-10 in any half in the play-by-play era. That's since 97-98. It's 70-49 at the break. Wembanyama, guard skills as a 7-foot whatever he is man. Wembanyama here, loose ball gathers off the window. It's good. And they roll 41-18. Youngest player in NBA history with back-to-back games of 40 and 15. Tim Legler joins me. And Legs, since this guy has been on our radar, right? Since we first learned of him, he's been a tantalizing prospect. But the idea of what he might be compared to the reality of what he is, how do you compare those?
Well, first of all, any player that's come into the league, with this kind of hype, and there's just a few really historically, to be able to live up to it and actually be more than you ever thought he could be this early in his career, it's really scary to think ultimately what his ceiling could be, because we're not close to that. He's so young. He's already added so much, but there's still a lot more there for him to grab. The thing that impressed me so much tonight, I think I saw more agility and variety of shot making offensively tonight than I've seen in any game that I've covered Victor Wembanyama since he's been in the league. It was just so impressive. Runners and floaters, fadeaways, of course, some of the power stuff at the rim, the constant release that he gives his guards, that even on a possession that's going nowhere, it comes down to the vertical space he provides to just bail out a possession. We saw all of that on display tonight. It's been going on pretty much the entire year, and it really actually looks like he's more comfortable even now than he was 6 weeks ago, probably.
I'm not being flippant when I ask this question. I'm being sincere. What does any team do to limit the manner in which this man impacts the game?
You've got one shot against him to just make him less efficient, and that is you have to have the type of personnel that's got the strength and enough size that you can force him out on the floor on his initial catch. If he's got an opportunity to run free and there's not a lot of contact and you don't have the type of personnel I'm describing, it is virtually impossible to stop him. When you see him start to get jammed up a little bit and at least you have some success against him, Scott, it's typically when you've been able to push him out on the floor and really make him wrestle you a little bit and struggle to catch it where he wants to initially. You've at least done your job to try to hopefully make him have a less efficient night. That's your best answer. But the problem is, Scott, this team is so deep and there are so many answers around him if you want to overload on him to that extent. They're a complete basketball team. They can beat you on either end of the floor, and they've got great depth.
I'm really curious your answer to this question. I'm curious to any question I ask you, but this one in particular. Wembanyama, it's fitting that he wears number 1. He's the most important player on that team. But in terms of their championship aspirations this year, who do you see as the second most important Spur to this season's hopes?
Got to go with Stephon Castle. He's just so impressive. First of all, with the seriousness of his demeanor. He's just all business. I love his approach to the game. I love how seriously he takes the defensive end of the floor. And I don't know that you can appreciate sometimes if you're watching him on TV, when you see him in person and you see like the specimen that he is, the size and strength that he represents as your lead guard, it's a whole nother dimension that very few teams in this league have. He has grown so much offensively since he came into the league, and even how much he's grown just in this year. I had a stat on the game tonight where he's at 45% in his last 10 games from the three-point line. He was 50% again here tonight. If he's starting to add that, in addition to the physicality that he brings to the game by being in the paint all the time and his defensive prowess, now you've got another significant problem on your hands defensively. So I just think Castle's upside and what it represents. But look, here's the one thing remaining, Scott. Collectively, there's just not any playoff experience. You got Harrison Barnes, you got Luke Cornett, and you got De'Aaron Fox with one series under his belt. So that's the one thing remaining. How will all of these young guys handle their first taste of it?
And I intend to ask him about that when he joins us here in a bit. You had a conversation late in this blowout where Mike and you and Richard were discussing this MVP race. And there are compelling cases to be made for that and for first-team All-NBA. It's difficult to figure out who's the odd man out as it relates to that. How do you evaluate and choose what's most important in terms of who's most valuable this year, Tim?
Well, look, and Cade Cunningham's probably going to be removed because of the game limit,
right.
But I think there was half a dozen legitimate candidates in the mix. And I think what's going to happen is I think SGA, because he's the guy that is the reigning MVP, and I think people are going to look at his year, the fact that Oklahoma City ended up as the #1 seed overall. He had a more efficient season even than he did a year ago. I think some people that are torn because they're not sure might go in that direction, and then the other guys sort of split it up. But I think what you've seen, Victor Wembanyama's thrust himself into the conversation. Luka Doncic, with the way he's played over the last 6 weeks, has put himself in that situation. Jaylen Brown obviously deserves to be mentioned in it. And then you've got SGA and Jokic as well, two guys that have been there literally at the top every year for the last several. So I think there are a number of candidates. I don't know how it's going to go. I just wonder if some people go to the default of SGA. Better year than he had, still the best record overall in the NBA, and he's the reigning MVP.
Understood. I don't think there's a wrong answer. It'll just be curious to find how people answer the question. Always enjoy the visits, Tim. Travel well. Be good until next time, okay?
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Always. The Spurs teams won each of the last 15 games that Victor Wembanyama has played in. Wemby averaging more than 25, 10, and 3 blocks per game in those wins. First player to post those numbers over a 15-game win streak since Shaquille O'Neal in 99-2000. Since the beginning of February, San Antonio, an NBA best 26-2. That's their most wins in any span of 28 games in the proud history of this franchise, something the Spurs never did despite being a dynastic team led by Pop, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili. During the stretch, the Spurs have 2 separate winning streaks of 10 games, something they hadn't done in an entire season since 13-14. That year, the Spurs won an NBA title. Victor Wembanyama kind of...
I think we're the best team in the world. The Spurs check all boxes. Dismantle them in the half court.
Somebody needs a body bag.
Play fast.
Castle climbs the ladder.
Physical. Rebound. Fundamental. Again and again.
You're watching NBA Countdown, presented by Lilly.
So the Spurs play the Warriors a little later tonight on ESPN. And San Antonio, they have the best record in the league since February the 1st, right? They're 25-1 in the games that Wemby has played during that run. And, Coach, we talk so much about Victor Wembanyama and his defense. But I want to take a look at his offense here. And let's keep in mind, as Coach highlights this, we're talking about a player who's 7'5".
Yeah, it's incredible. And he is the most efficient pick-and-roll big man in the NBA.
Yeah.
And what does it start with? It starts with his ability to pick and pop, stretch the floor. He's shooting almost 38% on threes in his last 14 games. Let's take a look at an example right here. You're going to see the screen. Stephon Castle's handling the ball. They're going to get into a double drag situation here. And as he comes off this, he attracts the attention, Castle does. And Wemby's ability, Malika, to create separation and rise up and shoot, that is a beautiful jump shot. Shooting it with great confidence right now. That is a threat that most 7'5" players are not able to do consistently.
Yeah, we're talking about the pick and pop here. Not bad for a guy whose shot release, by the way, is that high. You mentioned the pick and roll, though. Let's take a little bit of a closer look at that and what exactly makes Wemby such a threat.
Well, the three is one thing,
right,
but his ability to roll and put pressure on the rim, second to none. Most lob dunks in the NBA since the All-Star break. And this is a great example. This is the first play of the game against Miami, and really cool play designed by Mitch Johnson. Over here, you can see they cleared out the backside by getting Vassell out. And then all he's going to do, he's going to act like he's setting the screen, Malika. Then he gets on the rim. I'd love to be Stephon Castle. Throw the ball anywhere near the basket, and Wemby's able to go up and get behind Bam Adebayo for an easy two.
And that chemistry is only building. He said that he is really hoping that this is a connection that he's going to have for a long time, that Area 51, because you're seeing it grow over the course of the season. So, okay, if he's shooting 38% on threes in his last 14 games, if you're also talking about him as a lob threat, where are we going next?
Gravity, right? The favorite term in the NBA this year. All that means is his ability to draw the attention from the defense, even when he doesn't have the ball.
Yeah.
So this is a great example. There's going to be a spread pick and roll. They're going to run here against the Clippers. And as you watch this play, the most important part is right there. He doesn't have the ball, but he's got three guys around him in the paint. Now, San Antonio, they lead the league in corner threes generated at over 12 per game. De'Aaron Fox has time to get his feet set, check the wind, and knock down the shot. We talk about Wemby all the time. Well, can he be the unanimous Defensive Player of the Year winner? Maybe. But he's an MVP finalist because of his ability to impact the game both offensively and defensively.
He's one rubric for the MVP. But, Brian, what do you think makes this race when you're looking at Shea and when you're looking at Victor?
Okay, so one thing about Victor that is kind of hard to measure, he's not playing that many.
7'5".
You're on today. He's not really playing that many minutes relative to what an MVP plays. He's actually averaging a hair under 30 minutes a game. We've never seen an MVP play that little. And the thing about it is he's still putting up crazy numbers. And so the question you ask yourself is, should he be docked for not playing more minutes? Like LeBron's played more minutes, he's not even eligible for the MVP. Or should you look at this and go, man, when he plays more minutes in the playoffs, which he almost certainly will, because in big games during the regular season he did, is he just going to take it up another level? And when you see him play in 35, 36 minutes, you're going to be like, man, I wish I would have given that MVP award to Wemby.
Well, the race is over for me. I finally drew a line.
You put your vote in?
Yeah, I found Mark Broussard from the NBA sent me an email 2 days ago.
You don't have an email?
Yeah, he sent it to my wife.
Okay.
And I told her to respond, yeah. So that I'm participating. And I drew a line in the sand, and SGA is getting my vote. I mean, what he's done this year, joining the Michael Jeffrey Jordan again, 4 consecutive seasons of averaging 30, shooting over 50% from the field, breaking Wilt Chamberlain consecutive 20-point game record.
Yeah.
And on top of that, he's been doing it without his Robin and Jalen Williams.
And if the standings change, you won't regret that.
That's the thing. The standards are not going to change. They're going to finish with the best record in the league. He's not going to let his foot off the gas. And what told me that is when he played that back-to-back the other night and played against Detroit, and the way he closed that game out in that fourth quarter and overtime with that 40-piece wing dinner, all drumsticks.
And that's why he would get my vote, too. Now, I don't have one. That's a good thing. But the one thing you didn't mention is, to me, Wendy, he's proven himself to be the best clutch player in the NBA. He's got 5 game-tying or go-ahead field goal attempts makes in the last 30 seconds. So, and he's got a chance to be the first guard ever to average 30 points per game and shoot 55% from the field.
Right.
You talk about consistency, 20 points every single night against a defense that is trying to game plan for you.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Wemby, Nikola Jokic, everybody else, but I think SGA is incredible in his ability to impact the game in all shapes and forms.
It feels like the discussion was opened again when Shea went down with an injury, but he hasn't missed a beat since he came back, right? And we've been framing this as a 2-man race between Victor Wembanyama and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. That's largely because of the odds, but there are other worthy candidates that deserve